Hello friends, this is Lucy Fleury-Levy, founder of Universal Grace Film Feminine Foundation. My dear friends, I invite you to keep on joining us in our multicultural international conferences to define universal love for world peace, because of the power of intention which can change any situation, since only the highest light dissolves the darkness. Japanese professor Emoto has demonstrated through scientific experiments that the water has a memory, and the same water exposed to a negative intention will produce visible dark, dirty patterns through the microscope, whilst it will produce lovely drawings when exposed to positive energy, words, and intentions. The blocked situation we are all suffering from in Gaza comes from certain extremist groups who are prisoners inside their own souls by choice of an old negative narrative. What you project in your reality is often the mirror of your own inner world. If you think hateful thoughts towards others, you will attract hatred against you. We have here Israelis who arrived traumatized from the Holocaust and terrible inhuman horrors they suffered from, and they projected the fears of their inner world by claiming themselves they were terrorists when they arrived on the land. So as they acted as terrorists, projecting their inner terror and trauma from the horrible things they suffered, they attracted on them more terror from the natives as a mirror, so that both sides got blocked in this terrorism and wars, continual, wars. They were actually projecting on others what others had done to them, okay? And it's typical from people who suffered from a severe trauma. Those who see others as salvages are often thinking and acting as salvages themselves, as we saw it with each colonial empire, butchering natives to steal their land and their natural resources by brute force, and after to justify that they would accuse them of being salvages. I say salvage, not animals, because animals who I love, they know better, and they feel if someone is kind or nasty, and they will react accordingly. They have a great respect, for the spiritual world, animals. So we can't, if you want to put a parallel between lovely animals and psychopaths, who are criminals. Sadly, some extremist groups insist to hang on to an obsolete religious narrative which is at the opposite of the divine essence they pretend to serve. Divine essence is holy, benevolent, loving kindness, presence, and conditional universal love, so that these false dogmas became an inner prison, preventing them to reconnect with the holy presence of the reality of the essence of Source Divine, universal loving essence. Whilst I am happy to state many younger people from different religions, culture, ethnic background, etc., are now awakened to this and refuse this old obsolete narrative, and they have broken free from these dead dogmas, inner prisons, to reconnect with the reality of universal loving, benevolent, loving kindness, source divine presence in the here and now. These younger generations, whether Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, spiritual, etc., bring tremendous hope and healing to our world, because they understood that what matters is here and now to reflect the holy presence of highest good through heart energy, and not to stubbornly stick to obsolete antique religious agendas, dark agendas, to prove them right, okay? Sadly, many religious leaders, extremists or unscrupulous imperialist politicians want to maintain humanity prisoners of the darkness of such dark agendas. Even among so-called Christians supposed to follow universal loving Christ consciousness, they prefer to hang on to what they see as old prophecies and, if necessary, create a man-made apocalypse by financing wars to commit crimes against innocent civilians to prove them right and have the Christ return. Some want also, they are waiting impatiently for the Antichrist so that they have Christ. But Christ is here and now. He's here with us. Awaken, please. Open your eyes. Presence is here. Such incoherent behavior is totally contrary to the gospel they preach, but they are so prisoner inside of the old false narrative that they are not capable of waking up from this fatal entropic hypnosis. I was reading again Matthew 5, where Christ is seen healing many from the people of Syria and bringing the light to the people of Jordan. This is what true disciples of Christ are supposed to do. Bless people and bring them the good universal loving news, not to send them money to finance bombs to kill people instead. Also, Matthew 5 contains the famous Beatitudes where Jesus, Yeshua, says, "Blessed are the peacemakers because they are children of God." How come some so-called Christians became so hateful and blind, making of Christ consciousness and continual acts of mercy such a mockery? Christ all his life loved and said, love your enemy, don't take the sword, if not you will perish by the sword. So how can they preach that and act in such opposite way, which makes of Christ a mockery in the eyes of the world? In the same way, Rabbi David Weiss explains how the reality of Judaism is to reflect the holy, compassionate, healing presence of the divine, not to oppress, kill, and steal. If God truly gives you something, it is going to be God's way, which is a universal loving way and not a criminal way. Rabbi also explains, and I can witness the same since I was too born in the middle of the three Abrahamic religions in a Muslim country, that Muslims were a lot more generous and kind to Jews in the diaspora than Europeans, burning Jews at the stakes, accusing them of killing Christ. In the three communities, people were enjoying the mirror reflection projection of their generous, kind, universal loving hearts because they chose to connect with the holy, benevolent, loving kindness presence of the Almighty instead of sticking to what could divide them and lead them to hate each other. This is why, as Rabbi says, they would babysit each other's children, care for each other, spreading divine, random kindness, mitzvahs, instead of hateful crimes. I am witness to of the beautiful souls, great generosity, hospitality of Muslims and Arabs in my own childhood in Tunisia, where I was privileged to be born, and I took there's such kindness, as a reference, which, I admired, and I'm trying to practice the same wisdom of heart they had. We need to learn from each other and grow from each other instead of hurting each other. Rabbi says as well that in Palestine it was the same, and before the state of Israel, the three communities lived in peace and mutual respect together. If the Israeli settlers had spread divine universal love instead of terrorism, the natives would have reflected the same to them, since this is the law of attraction. But now we don't want to blame, condemn anyone. At the contrary, we want to free precious individuals from their inner prisons, traumas, fears. So we need to unite to pray and, or according to your belief, to send positive, loving, healing energy, intention to all Israelis and Palestinians. Whatever your beliefs, please join us in sending benevolent healing heart energy to Israel, Gaza, all the Muslim countries and Arabs, whether Christians, atheists or Muslims, and same for Jews and Israelis, as well as to these fanatic, extremist Christians. And also, let us not forget Russia, China, who are trying to negotiate for peace. And they're showing an example here. And, we need to go not with, I am neutral, we need to remain neutral, but we go to the highest wisdom, okay? We don't go by gangs, or mafias or extremist group. We go by the light, by the highest light. So, uniting our voices to all we who bravely claim wars, hatred, not in our names. Okay? That's what we all have to unite our voices to. My friends, I end up by saying, I join my own voice to all awakened, universal loving younger generation I totally agree with. Sadly, I have been for long now persecuted myself by older generations of my own biological age group because I was led by Divine Mother they keep repressing, and not by the dead dogma like themselves. The Virgin of Light, the Lady in White, appeared in Zaytun in Egypt for world peace and many other places around the world to bring through the heart of Divine Mother. She wants to reunite her children through universal love and heal their hearts, their broken hearts, instead of religious dead dogma dividing us and pushing us to murder each other. Let us choose life, universal loving movement, because life is movement, always moving forward, is change, is growing spiritually, evolution through divine grace and freedom of the Holy Spirit. The free woman, not the slave, inherit divine promises and divine reality presence, because it is Divine Mother, the spiritual womb of all new birth, all new life. Friends, I'm happy and full of hope for the future of humanity because of all these crowds of awakened people uniting to work together to free Gaza from their physical prison. And when we free Gaza, we also free Israel from their inner prison. Thank you for listening to me, and I'm looking forward to meet you. So please join us in our conferences. Much universal love to all.